Lieutenant Adrian Carter had always thought space stations were supposed to be orderly, predictable, and quiet. Orbital Station Zenith, however, proved him wrong. It hovered like a silver sentinel above the blue and green planet of Aura 7, reflecting sunlight in streaks that made the whole structure look alive. The station was hosting a historic summit, humans and aliens meeting to discuss trade, peace, and exploration. Adrian, young but eager, had been assigned to security. Adrian liked his work. He enjoyed the hum of the corridors, the screens filled with data, and the routine checks of cameras. But today, his curiosity nudged him beyond the usual routine. It began when his scanner picked up an unusual signal near the Diplomat wing. The corridors in that area were restricted, only accessible to high-ranking officials and diplomats. Adrian knew he shouldn't go there, but his eyes twitched toward the closed door marked Kira Private Quarters. Kira was the alien diplomat from the Zorath Empire, a shape-shifting species known for their fluid forms and colorful patterns. Humans found them fascinating but sometimes hard to read. Adrian had read everything he could about them, but seeing one in person, unaware of being watched, was a temptation he couldn't resist. He slipped quietly through a maintenance hatch. His heart beat fast as he entered a side corridor that led to the diplomat's wing. Lights flickered softly, casting long shadows on the walls. He knew he was breaking rules, but he rationalized it as research. After all, no one would know if he just peeked. As he rounded the corner, the door to Kira's quarters opened slightly. A warm golden light spilled into the hallway and Adrian froze. Inside, he could see Kira, her form shimmering in hues he had never seen before. One moment she looked like a tall humanoid with lavender skin. The next, her features shifted subtly, her arms elongating and her eyes reflecting a galaxy of colors. She was changing clothes, her garments folding and reforming with a motion that seemed impossible, yet graceful. Adrian swallowed hard. He tried to focus on anything else, but his eyes betrayed him. He couldn't look away. He knew it was wrong, and yet he couldn't move. He pressed himself against the wall, hoping she wouldn't notice. Then he felt it, a presence. He turned slowly and froze. Kira was standing at the door. She had sensed him. Her form shimmered slightly, settling into her humanoid appearance. She smiled, but it wasn't an ordinary smile. It was calm, knowing, and almost amused. "You're not supposed to be here," she said. Her voice was melodic, carrying a tone that was both firm and gentle. I'm sorry," Adrian stammered, his face burning. I didn't mean to intrude. He stopped. Words felt useless here. Kira raised a hand and her form shifted slightly, rippling like water. "Curiosity is a human trait," she said softly. "It is not always punished. But honesty is valued more." Adrian blinked. He wasn't sure if she was angry or testing him. He tried to steady his breathing. I was curious," he admitted. "I've read about your species, but seeing I didn't think anyone would notice." Kira's eyes, large, gleaming, filled with shifting colors, studied him. She tilted her head slightly, as if weighing his words. Then she nodded. "Very well. Since you were honest, I will give you a choice. You may leave or you may stay and learn." Adrian's heart skipped a beat. Learn? Could this be a chance to understand something no human had seen before? He nodded eagerly. I'd like to learn." Kira motioned for him to step inside. The room was unlike anything Adrian had imagined. The walls were lined with panels that pulsed with soft light. Strange plants floated in small gravity wells, and streams of colored mist drifted gently from one corner to another. The air smelled faintly sweet and metallic at the same time. "Sit," Kira said, pointing to a low bench. "I will show you, but first you must understand why we do this." Adrian obeyed. He couldn't believe he was here, sitting in the quarters of a Zorath diplomat witnessing a private ritual. His training told him to report this immediately, but his curiosity overpowered caution. "We are Zorath," Kira began. "Our forms are not fixed. We change to reflect emotion, intent, and social status. What you saw, our clothing, our shape, is not mere decoration. It is communication." Adrian listened intently. Every word was new, every gesture fascinating. Kira's skin shifted from lavender to deep blue as she spoke, highlighting a point she was making. Her eyes sparkled with patterns of light that seemed almost alive. "You humans," she continued, "tend to see only what is visible. You do not notice the subtleties. But that is why I allow you to witness this. You have shown curiosity, yes, but also restraint. That is rare. Adrian swallowed hard, trying to absorb everything. I think I understand, he said slowly. It's a way of expressing who you are beyond words. Kira's color shifted to a gentle green, a sign of approval. Exactly. You humans have your words, your gestures, your art. We have these. It is how we show respect, trust, and intent. You were close to misunderstanding, but you chose honesty over fear. That is admirable. Adrian felt a mix of relief and awe. He realized this moment, awkward as it began, was turning into something extraordinary. I never imagined it could be like this, he said. Kira's form shimmered again and she smiled. Few humans do. Few even try. She paused, her gaze softening. You have a choice. You can return to your duties or you can stay a while and learn about the Zorath perspective. It may help you understand more than just my species. It may help you understand diplomacy. Adrian's mind raced. Could he? Should he? Every instinct told him this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He nodded. I'd like to learn. Kira's smile widened. Good. Then I will teach you and you will observe carefully. But remember, this is private. You do not speak of what you see unless permitted. Can you do that? I can, Adrian promised. The next few hours were filled with lessons. Kira explained the significance of each shift in her form, how colors and patterns conveyed emotions, and how subtle gestures indicated intent. Adrian tried to memorize everything, but more than that, he felt a growing respect for her species and for her personally. She showed him the rituals of preparation, the careful way Zorath attire folded and morphed. Adrian watched, fascinated, realizing that what seemed like magic was actually precise science and centuries of cultural evolution. Each movement was deliberate, meaningful, and beautiful. At one point, Kira asked him a question. Why do humans fear what they do not understand? Adrian thought for a moment. I think sometimes we judge too quickly. We see differences and assume danger. We forget to see the person, or the being behind the difference. Kira's form shimmered gently, a pattern of stars flowing across her skin. Wise, you humans are capable of understanding. That is why I allowed this intrusion. Curiosity, honesty, and reflection, you embody them all. Perhaps there is hope for our future alliances yet. Just then, a soft chime echoed through the room. The summit organizers were preparing for the evening ceremony. Kira's form shifted into her formal attire, a dazzling display of swirling colors and intricate designs that Adrian struggled to describe. He felt honored to witness it firsthand. You must return to your post now, Kira said. Remember what you have learned. Observe carefully, listen more than you speak, and always act with respect. Adrian nodded, feeling a strange mix of regret and excitement. He had trespassed, yes, but in doing so he had glimpsed something extraordinary. He felt as if a door had opened, not just to alien culture but to understanding, diplomacy, and perhaps even friendship. As he left the quarters and returned to the main corridor, he glanced back. Kira watched him from the doorway, a subtle smile on her face. For a moment, Adrian thought her colors shifted in a pattern that resembled human laughter. He returned to his post, heart racing. Something inside him had changed. Curiosity, he realized, was not a flaw. It was the beginning of understanding. And understanding, he thought, might be the key to bridging the vast distances between humans and aliens. Little did he know. This brief incident, this moment of being caught, would soon set the stage for challenges that could test both human ingenuity and interstellar diplomacy. The summit was only the beginning, and Adrian was about to find out that curiosity, courage, and honesty could be more powerful than he ever imagined. Adrian Carter could hardly sleep that night. His mind replayed every moment from the encounter with Kira, the alien diplomat. He lay in his small quarters aboard Zenith Station, staring at the ceiling, trying to process the events. He had trespassed, yes, but somehow it felt like more than just a mistake. It felt like an opportunity. An opportunity to learn, to understand, and perhaps even to prove that humans could rise to the challenges of the stars. The next morning, Adrian was back on duty, patrolling the corridors near the Diplomat wing. He tried to act casual, checking cameras and scanning for unusual activity. Everything appeared normal on the surface. Humans and aliens moved through the hallways, discussing schedules and protocols. Yet Adrian knew that beneath this normalcy, subtle tensions were at play. Diplomacy in space was not like diplomacy on Earth. Every gesture, every glance, and every word could carry meaning far beyond its appearance. As he walked past the maintenance hatch leading to Kira's quarters, he paused. A part of him wanted to peek, just to reassure himself that she was, well, ordinary. But another part, his curiosity tempered by the memory of her words, urged restraint. He turned and continued his rounds, careful to remain alert. It wasn't long before he heard the soft hum of energy fields activating nearby. Adrian's instincts kicked in. He moved quietly, following the sound to a side chamber near the Diplomat wing. And there she was, Kira. Her form shimmered in a sequence of colors, each one more vivid than the last. She had been expecting him. "You came," she said, her voice calm but carrying a weight that demanded attention. "I hoped you would." Adrian stepped forward cautiously. You wanted me to come?" he asked. Kira nodded. "I said you could learn. Now is the time to begin your lesson." She gestured to a low platform in the center of the room. "Sit, watch, listen. You will be tested, not for punishment, but for understanding." Adrian obeyed, his heart pounding. He had expected lectures or technical demonstrations, but the air in the room was different. It was charged with something he couldn't name, anticipation perhaps, or the weight of knowledge about to be shared. Kira began to explain the intricacies of Zorath culture. "Our shapeshifting is not mere performance," she said. "It is communication. Each change of form, each adjustment of color conveys information, intent, emotion, and status. Humans are capable of subtle signals too, though you rely more on words than patterns. Still, observation is key." Adrian listened intently, nodding. He tried to memorize every detail, every nuance. The more he watched, the more he realized that what he had seen before, the transformation of clothing, the shimmer of skin, was only the beginning. Zorath expression was layered, complex, and precise. Missing a single gesture could lead to misunderstanding. "Now," Kira continued, "you will be tested." She shifted her form, her body now reflecting a brilliant gradient of orange and gold. "This is the form of challenge. Can you recognize the meaning without words?" Adrian studied her carefully. He remembered her previous explanation. Orange signified caution, gold indicated respect and alertness. He considered her posture, the tilt of her head and the pattern of light across her skin. After a few tense moments he spoke. You are signaling caution but also inviting engagement," he said carefully. "You are testing me, but you also trust me to respond appropriately." Kira's eyes widened and her color shifted to a soft green, a sign of approval. "Correct. Many humans would panic, misinterpret, or react defensively. You observe, reflect, and respond with thought. That is rare." Adrian felt a surge of pride, though he tried to hide it. "Thank you," he said softly. I want to understand. I want to learn." "Good," Kira replied. "Understanding is not passive. It requires patience, attention, and courage. Humans have courage, yes, but patience, that is something you must cultivate." For the next several hours, Kira guided Adrian through a series of exercises. She shifted her form repeatedly, conveying messages without speaking. Adrian had to interpret her intent correctly and respond with actions or words that aligned with her signals. Sometimes he succeeded. Sometimes he failed. Each time he failed, Kira did not scold him. She simply shifted, conveying the consequences of misinterpretation. Through these exercises, Adrian learned more than just signals. He learned timing, observation, and the importance of subtlety. He realized that humans often rush to conclusions, relying on instinct or assumptions. With Kira, he learned to slow down, to notice details that could make the difference between success and failure. "You see," Kira said at one point, shifting to a calm blue hue, "humans and Zorath are not so different. You have curiosity, ingenuity, and courage. We have adaptability, precision, and awareness. Together we can achieve more than either species alone. But first you must understand each other." Adrian nodded, feeling the truth of her words. He began to see diplomacy not as negotiation or power plays, but as a careful dance of understanding. Every gesture, every word, every choice carried weight. He realized that his earlier trespass, which had started as curiosity, had opened a door. That door now led to knowledge, insight, and perhaps even a chance to make a difference. Just as he was beginning to feel comfortable, Kira's expression changed. Her colors darkened, shifting to deep purple and crimson. "There is a test that will not be so simple," she said, her voice serious. The summit is approaching and not all factions welcome peace. Some wish to disrupt it. You will need to act with intelligence and discretion. Can you do that? Adrian's stomach tightened. He had not expected danger to come so soon, but he nodded firmly. I will do my best. Good, Kira said, her colors softening again. Tomorrow you will observe our arrival at the summit. Watch closely. Learn not only the signals but also the intentions behind them. You may find that the smallest detail can change the outcome of events. The following day, Adrian accompanied Kira to the summit hall. From a distance, he watched as diplomats from dozens of species arrived, each with its own customs, clothing, and signals. Some humans seemed nervous, others confident. Alien delegates moved in ways that Adrian had never seen, some shifting their forms, some communicating with subtle light patterns. Adrian realized immediately how valuable his lessons with Kira were. He noticed signals that others missed. He saw warnings conveyed in color changes, invitations hidden in subtle gestures, and tension that would have gone unnoticed to the untrained eye. During the initial introductions, a minor incident occurred. A small alien delegate from a rival faction approached the human leader with what seemed like an innocent question. However, Adrian noticed the delegate's colors shifting to aggressive red tones, a hidden warning. He quickly intercepted, providing a polite but firm clarification, preventing a potential misunderstanding. Kira's eyes, even from across the hall, shimmered with approval. Adrian felt a rush of satisfaction. He realized that observation, patience, and understanding were powerful tools, sometimes more powerful than weapons or authority. As the day progressed, Adrian continued to assist Kira, interpreting subtle signals and helping prevent minor conflicts. He noticed that some diplomats were testing each other, probing for weaknesses. Others tried to hide their intentions entirely. Each time, Adrian's human intuition, combined with his new understanding of Zorath communication, allowed him to act effectively. By the end of the day, Adrian was exhausted, but exhilarated. He had learned more about diplomacy, interstellar relations, and the importance of understanding than he ever imagined. Kira's mentorship had opened his eyes to possibilities he had never considered. Before leaving the summit hall, Kira approached him. Her colors shifted to a calming green and gold. "You have done well today," she said. Many humans would have been blind to these signals, or worse, would have reacted poorly. You observe, think, and act. That is a rare combination. Adrian smiled, feeling a sense of pride and responsibility. Thank you, Kira. I hope I can continue to learn. You will, Kira replied. Tomorrow brings new challenges. The rival factions will not rest. You must be ready not just to observe but to act. Courage, intelligence, and honesty will be your allies. As Adrian returned to his quarters that evening, he reflected on everything he had learned. He realized that curiosity, when combined with respect and honesty, could open doors that might otherwise remain closed. He understood that humans, though young in interstellar experience, had the potential to navigate complex situations with courage and intelligence. Little did he know, the lessons he had learned were only the beginning. Challenges awaited that would test his understanding, judgment, and bravery. And in facing them, Adrian would discover just how powerful humans could be when they embraced their strengths and worked with allies, even those from distant stars. The spark of curiosity that had led him into Kira's quarters was now aflame. And that flame would guide him through dangers, diplomacy, and discovery in ways he could never have imagined. The day after the summit's opening ceremony, Lieutenant Adrian Carter felt a tension he had not experienced before. The corridors of Zenith Station, normally buzzing with organized activity, now seemed charged with subtle energy. Humans and aliens moved with purpose, yet every glance and gesture carried hidden meaning. Adrian had learned to notice these subtleties from Kira, but the station's atmosphere suggested that something more was brewing. He was on patrol near the Diplomat wing when he noticed it, a small cluster of figures moving in a pattern that did not match the official schedule. At first glance, they appeared to be routine staff, but Adrian's instincts, sharpened by Kira's lessons, told him otherwise. The subtle shifts in their colors, the brief flashes of attention toward the Zorath quarters, all indicated that these figures were not ordinary. Adrian moved closer, careful to remain unseen. He observed as they communicated silently, their gestures precise and calculated. It was clear they were planning something disruptive. He realized with a sinking feeling that rival factions were attempting to manipulate events at the summit, possibly to embarrass or undermine the human delegation. He knew he had to act. But how could a single human officer intervene against a coordinated alien group without causing panic? Adrian thought quickly, remembering Kira's teachings. Observation first, reaction second. Before he could make a move, a soft ripple of movement appeared at his side. Kira had arrived, her form shimmering in calming shades of green and blue. "I see you have discovered them," she said, her voice low but steady. "Good. You have eyes for details many others miss. Now we must act carefully." Adrian nodded. "What can we do? There are too many for me to stop alone." Kira's eyes sparkled with a pattern of stars. "We will act together. You have human intuition. I have abilities my species has honed for centuries. Combine them, and we have a chance." Adrian followed her lead as she guided him through the side corridors, avoiding detection. She whispered instructions and he quickly understood the plan. They would intercept the rival group before they reached the main summit hall, using a combination of strategy, distraction, and precise communication. As they approached the group, Adrian felt his heart race. He had never worked so closely with an alien in a high-stakes situation. Kira shifted her form, her body flowing into a pattern of light and color that conveyed authority and warning. The rivals paused, confused by the sudden display. Adrian stepped forward, using his human voice firmly but politely. "You are off limits. Please return to your assigned area." The rivals exchanged glances, clearly uncertain. They were skilled, but unprepared for the combined approach of human reasoning and Zorath display. Kira's form shifted again, this time radiating a calming blue, signaling dominance without aggression. Adrian took the next step. He moved subtly, positioning himself to block the group's path while signaling Kira. Together, they guided the rivals back toward a side exit, away from the summit hall. The group resisted briefly, but the combination of human strategy and Zorath authority proved effective. In minutes, the immediate threat was neutralized without violence, and the summit continued smoothly. Adrian exhaled deeply, his body still tense from the encounter. I can't believe that worked," he said, his voice low. Kira smiled, her form shifting to soft green hues. "It worked because you observed, understood, and acted with care. That is the strength of your species. Humans may lack some abilities, but you have intuition, courage, and adaptability. Never underestimate them." Adrian felt a surge of pride. He realized that he and Kira had just demonstrated something extraordinary. Humans and aliens, despite their differences, could work together to solve problems that neither could face alone. He also understood the deeper lesson. Success often depended on trust, respect, and careful observation. In the days that followed, Adrian continued to assist Kira. He learned to read her subtle signals with greater accuracy and to anticipate potential disruptions before they became threats. They developed a rhythm, a silent communication that allowed them to operate almost seamlessly as a team. During one quiet moment, as they walked along a corridor overlooking the planet below, Adrian asked Kira, "Why did you choose to teach me? You could have ignored my trespass entirely." Kira's colors shifted to gentle gold, a pattern that Adrian had come to recognize as reflection or thoughtfulness, "because you showed qualities that many humans overlook in themselves. Honesty, curiosity, and the willingness to learn. You are willing to observe without judgment, to think before acting. That is rare. Most would panic or react without thought." Adrian nodded. I just didn't want to mess up. I wanted to understand." "That is exactly why you succeeded," Kira replied. "Understanding begins with curiosity. Curiosity without respect can lead to trouble, but you balanced both. That balance is what allows humans to thrive even in situations far beyond your experience." As the summit continued, new challenges arose. Some alien delegates attempted to test human patience and resolve, using subtle provocations and indirect signals. Adrian's understanding of Kira's teachings allowed him to anticipate these maneuvers, guiding human delegates in ways that maintained diplomacy and prevented misunderstandings. One afternoon, during a break in the proceedings, Adrian noticed a small crowd gathering near the communications hub. A group of aliens appeared to be attempting to intercept messages between delegates. Adrian acted quickly, signaling Kira, who shifted into a pattern of alert red and blue, warning the group to stop. Adrian then used human improvisation, rerouting the communications through secure channels while maintaining calm and discretion. Kira watched from nearby, her form glowing with approval. Well done. You see, humans have creativity that can complement our abilities. You think differently, react unpredictably in a positive way. That is your strength. Adrian realized that day that the alliance between human and Zorath was not only possible but essential. While Kira had centuries of cultural knowledge and shape-shifting abilities, humans brought ingenuity, quick thinking, and emotional intelligence. Together, they were more than the sum of their parts. As the summit entered its final phases, Adrian began to see the broader picture. Rival factions were watching, testing, and waiting for mistakes. Every action, every decision had consequences beyond what he could see. Yet with Kira's guidance and his own intuition, he felt capable of navigating the complex web of diplomacy. That evening, as they reviewed the day's events, Kira turned to him.
Adrian, the final challenge will come soon.
The rival factions are not finished, and they may act openly. You must be prepared to act decisively yet wisely. Courage without thought can lead to disaster. Understanding without action is wasted. You must combine both. Adrian nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. He had learned so much in just a few days, but he understood that the ultimate test was still ahead. Are you ready? Kira asked, her eyes shimmering with patterns of light that seemed almost alive. Adrian took a deep breath. I am ready. I will do my best. Kira smiled, her colors shifting to a calming gradient of green and blue. That is all I ask. Remember, our strength is not just in power or skill, but in understanding, trust, and cooperation. You have shown that humans are capable of all three. Never forget it. As they left the planning room, Adrian felt a sense of purpose he had never experienced before. The summit was not just a meeting of species. It was a test of humanity's ability to adapt, understand, and cooperate on a cosmic scale. And he was at the center of it, learning, observing, and acting. Little did Adrian know the challenges ahead would demand everything he had learned, and more. The rival factions were not finished. Subtle threats would soon escalate into a crisis that could affect the entire summit, and perhaps even the fragile peace between species. But Adrian was no longer just a curious officer. He was a human ready to face challenges with courage, intelligence, and the willingness to work with allies from distant stars. The unexpected alliance he had formed with Kira would be tested, and in that test, humans would have the chance to prove their strength, not just through technology or numbers, but through ingenuity, empathy, and determination. Adrian understood one thing clearly. Curiosity had brought him here, but courage, understanding, and action would determine whether he could truly make a difference. And for the first time, he felt confident that humans, despite their inexperience in interstellar politics, could rise to meet the challenge. The sun set over Aura 7, casting a golden glow over Zenith Station. In the quiet moments between activity and preparation, Adrian stood at a viewing platform beside Kira. He watched the planet below, feeling both small and significant at the same time. Tomorrow, Kira said softly, everything changes. Be ready. Adrian nodded, gripping the railing. He was ready. The morning of the final day of the summit dawned quietly, but the calm was deceptive. Lieutenant Adrian Carter had learned to trust instinct sharpened by Kira's mentorship. As he walked the corridors of Zenith Station, he felt a subtle tension in the air, tiny vibrations that humans often missed but that signaled underlying activity. Something was about to happen. He reached the Diplomat wing early, checking cameras and scanning corridors. Kira had already arrived, her form shimmering in soft blue and gold hues, signaling calm authority. She motioned him closer. They are moving, she said quietly. The rival faction we intercepted before is not finished. They have coordinated an attempt to disrupt the summit itself. If they succeed, the peace talks could collapse before they even conclude. Adrian swallowed hard. He had expected challenges, yes, but now it seemed the threat was larger than he had imagined. What should we do? He asked. Kira's eyes sparkled with determination. We act together. Observation first, intervention second. You will use what you have learned to anticipate their moves. I will create diversions and control the flow. Together, we can prevent disaster. As the summit began, Adrian took his position near the main entrance, observing delegates from dozens of species entering the grand hall. The room was a spectacle of light, color, and sound. Alien attire shifted in patterns. Holographic projections displayed diplomatic insignias, and subtle signals flew between delegates. Adrian's training with Kira allowed him to notice something no one else could: a small group of figures moving with unusual precision, heading toward the communication hub in the center of the hall. "They're trying to intercept the summit messages," he whispered to Kira, who had joined him silently. Kira nodded, her form shifting to a bright orange and violet pattern, a signal of alert and strategic intent. "Then we must act quickly. You will guide the humans and I will manage the rest." Adrian moved forward with purpose, signaling human security officers to monitor the group discreetly. Using subtle gestures he had learned from Kira, he directed attention without alarming the delegates. His heart pounded, but he reminded himself to stay calm. Observation and measured action were key. The rival faction, realizing their actions had been noticed, attempted to split up. Adrian's mind raced. He needed a strategy. He quickly analyzed their movements, predicting their next steps. Using both human improvisation and lessons from Kira, he led them toward a controlled corridor where they could be contained without causing panic. Kira's presence was invaluable. Her form shifted constantly, projecting authority and control. Some rivals tried to resist, but the combination of human guidance and Zorath authority was overwhelming. Within minutes, the immediate threat was neutralized. The group was contained, and summit communications remained secure. Adrian exhaled, but the relief was short-lived. He noticed another subtle movement, a different faction attempting to provoke the Zorath delegates directly. They were using colored signals to create confusion, hoping to trigger a diplomatic mistake. Kira glanced at him, her eyes glowing with a star-like pattern. "This will test your understanding of intent. Watch carefully. Act wisely." Adrian focused, remembering her lessons about observation, patience, and interpretation. He noted the subtle color shifts indicating anger, hesitation, and aggression. He realized that responding with force would worsen the situation. Instead, he used calm, measured gestures to guide the human delegates, subtly diffusing tension. At the same time, Kira shifted her form, signaling authority and maintaining order among the alien delegates. It was a delicate balance. One wrong move and the summit could spiral into chaos. Adrian felt the pressure, but he stayed composed, relying on everything he had learned. Slowly, the tension began to ease. Rival factions, seeing that their attempts were anticipated, withdrew quietly. The summit hall returned to normal, with delegates resuming their discussions without knowledge of the near disaster. Kira turned to Adrian, her colors shifting to soft green. "You acted well. Many humans would have reacted impulsively, causing conflict. You observed, reflected, and intervened at the right moment. That is what makes humans unique, the ability to combine intuition, reasoning, and courage." Adrian felt a rush of pride, but also humility. He realized that the HFY ideal, humanity excelling through intelligence, courage, and cooperation, was not just theory. Today he had lived it. However, the challenges were not yet over. Later that evening, during the final session of the summit, a more dangerous attempt unfolded. A coordinated strike by multiple rival factions aimed to disrupt the ceremonial closure, targeting delegates with interference devices that could jam communications and create panic. Adrian noticed the subtle signs immediately: small shadows moving too quickly, unusual energy readings near key delegates, and colored signals among the rivals indicating coordination. "Kira," he whispered urgently, "they're planning a simultaneous disruption. If it happens, the summit could collapse entirely." Kira's form rippled with intensity, shifting through patterns of red, gold, and violet, alert, command, and caution. "Then we act decisively. Stay close to me and follow instructions. We will prevent this together." The situation escalated quickly. Adrian moved to intercept a small group attempting to tamper with communication consoles, while Kira managed larger groups, using her presence and color displays to command attention. Adrian used quick thinking to reroute power and alert security officers subtly. His human intuition, combined with Kira's Zorath authority, allowed them to act faster than the rivals could respond. At one point, a rival delegate attempted to approach a key human leader, signaling aggression through rapid color shifts. Adrian stepped forward using his body language and firm tone to intervene. The delegate paused, confused by the unexpected response, and Kira's form shifted simultaneously, reinforcing authority without confrontation. The momentary hesitation was enough to prevent escalation. The crisis reached its peak when the main hall's energy panels flickered, a coordinated attempt to create chaos. Adrian quickly assessed the situation and directed human officers to stabilize the panels, while Kira used her form to guide delegates calmly. Within minutes, the threat was neutralized and the summit continued smoothly. After the events, the delegates remained unaware of how close the summit had come to failure. Adrian and Kira stepped aside, catching their breath. "You were incredible," Kira said, her colors softening to green and gold. "You anticipated threats, acted decisively, and maintained calm. That is the essence of diplomacy in action. Humans have a gift for innovation and courage that complements our abilities perfectly." Adrian shook his head, smiling weakly. "I couldn't have done it without you." "Your guidance, your lessons, they made all the difference." Kira's form shimmered in approval. "It is not just guidance, it is partnership. You and humans have qualities that we value greatly: courage, ingenuity, empathy, and adaptability. When combined with our abilities, the result is greater than the sum of its parts. Today, you demonstrated that humans are capable of more than many believe." Adrian felt a surge of pride and responsibility. The crisis had shown him the importance of observation, patience, and action. It had also proven the value of human-alien cooperation. He realized that the HFY ideal, humans succeeding through courage, intelligence, and adaptability, was not just theory, but something tangible. As the summit concluded, delegates from multiple species approached Adrian and Kira, expressing gratitude for their efforts. Some had noticed subtle signals of trouble but could not identify the source. Adrian remained humble, aware that the real work had been done through understanding, strategy, and quiet action. Later, as he walked with Kira along a viewing corridor overlooking the planet, Adrian asked, "Do you think humans can really be trusted to handle interstellar diplomacy like this on a larger scale?" Kira's eyes shimmered with thought. "They must be. You have demonstrated that humans, though inexperienced, can combine courage, intuition, and reflection. You have the ability to learn quickly and adapt. That is why you succeeded today. If humanity continues to cultivate these qualities, you can handle challenges that span the galaxy." Adrian nodded, feeling a mixture of pride and determination. He had faced his first true interstellar crisis and survived. More importantly, he had helped prevent disaster and protect the fragile peace between species. The sun set over Aura 7, casting a warm glow across Zenith Station. Adrian looked out at the horizon, feeling a deep sense of purpose. He had learned that curiosity, when paired with courage and understanding, could open doors to solutions others might never see. And he had learned that humans, even without alien abilities, could rise to extraordinary challenges. As he turned back toward the corridors, Kira's voice followed him softly. "Tomorrow, the aftermath begins. There will be more decisions, more tests of character. But remember this: courage, intelligence, and cooperation are your greatest strengths. Never forget them." Adrian smiled, his heart steady. He knew that the next phase would bring its own challenges, but he was ready. Together with Kira, he had proven that humans could not only survive in the interstellar arena, they could thrive. And as the station's lights shimmered against the vast expanse of space, Adrian felt something profound. The HFY ideal was not just about survival. It was about rising to meet. The morning after the summit's crisis, Zenith Station seemed quieter, almost serene. But Lieutenant Adrian Carter knew that calm could be deceptive. Diplomacy in space was a delicate balance. And though the immediate threats had been neutralized, the aftermath would test the patience, judgment, and integrity of every participant. Adrian moved through the corridors with purpose. Today he was no longer just an observer. He was a key part of the human delegation's success. He had learned to read subtle signals, anticipate actions, and act decisively. Kira had trained him well, and he had proven himself capable under pressure. Yet he understood that this was only the beginning. Kira met him at the entrance to the Diplomat wing. Her form shimmered softly in green and gold, the colors of reflection and approval. "Good morning, Adrian. Today will be about resolution and trust. The summit cannot succeed on action alone. It requires understanding, dialogue, and the willingness to forgive past tensions. Adrian nodded, feeling the weight of her words. I understand. We'll need patience as much as courage. Exactly, Kira replied. And you will guide your delegation with the lessons you have learned. The morning session began with a review of the summit's events. Delegates from various species presented their positions, some openly acknowledging previous misunderstandings, others cautiously testing the waters for trust. Adrian observed carefully, noting the subtle gestures, color shifts, and tone changes that indicated intent. Unlike before, he was not just reacting, he was anticipating, guiding, and shaping interactions without anyone realizing it. During a break, a delegation from a species previously hostile to humans approached Adrian. Their leader, a tall figure with iridescent skin, extended a gesture Adrian recognized from Kira's lessons, a subtle invitation to dialogue. Adrian responded in kind, mirroring the gesture with human respect. He spoke calmly, acknowledging past tensions while proposing cooperative solutions. The aliens paused, considering his words and gestures. Slowly, they shifted to colors that signified agreement and understanding. It was a small victory, but a significant one. Diplomacy often worked in tiny increments, and Adrian knew that each step toward trust counted. Kira watched from nearby, her form shifting through patterns of approval and subtle amusement. You are learning quickly, Adrian, she said. Observation, empathy, and patience combined with courage are what humans must rely on. Today you are applying all three. Adrian felt a surge of pride, but he kept his focus. The summit was far from over. Later, a tense negotiation unfolded between human and alien leaders regarding shared trade routes. A rival faction attempted to inject confusion, using subtle signals and misinformation. Adrian immediately noticed discrepancies, the wrong gestures paired with conflicting signals. He discreetly alerted human leaders who were able to respond calmly and correctly. Kira's guidance was crucial. She subtly influenced the alien delegates, reinforcing clarity and reducing tension. Together, Adrian and Kira acted as a bridge between species, ensuring that communication flowed smoothly and misunderstandings were minimized. By midday, the summit had reached a turning point. Delegates began to openly acknowledge the value of collaboration. Adrian could see it in the subtle smiles, relaxed postures, and more open color patterns among the aliens. The summit hall, once filled with tension and uncertainty, now radiated cautious optimism. During a brief break, Kira approached Adrian again. You have proven something important today, she said softly. Humans, though young in interstellar diplomacy, have qualities that cannot be taught. Courage, empathy, ingenuity, and honesty. These are your strengths. You demonstrated them all. Other species are noticing. Adrian nodded, humbled by her words. I only did what seemed right. I wanted to help to prevent mistakes, to understand. That is enough, Kira replied. That is what sets humans apart. You act not for glory, but for understanding and the greater good. That is why trust begins with you. As the summit neared its conclusion, a ceremonial event was held to formalize agreements. Delegates from all species, including humans, exchanged tokens of trust and signed accords outlining cooperation in trade, exploration, and shared resources. Adrian watched, remembering the chaos of the previous day and the delicate maneuvers that had prevented disaster. When the ceremony ended, delegates expressed gratitude privately. Many acknowledged Adrian's insight, though they did not know the full extent of his involvement. It was a quiet recognition, subtle but meaningful, a testament to the value of observation, courage, and measured action. After the official events, Kira invited Adrian to a private area overlooking the planet below. The view was breathtaking, oceans reflecting sunlight, sprawling continents, and clouds drifting like silk. Adrian felt a sense of peace, but also a sense of achievement. You have grown, Kira said, her form shimmering in calming golds and greens. You entered my quarters out of curiosity, and from that you learned, acted, and helped preserve peace. That is no small feat. Adrian smiled, feeling a mix of pride and humility. I never imagined it would turn out like this. I thought I had made a mistake, but instead it became a lesson I'll never forget. Kira's eyes softened, shifting to a gentle pattern of blues. That is the essence of growth, Adrian. Mistakes are not always failures. They can be opportunities if met with honesty, courage, and reflection. You have shown that humanity can rise to challenges, not just survive them but excel. Adrian looked at her, realizing that the awkward, tense moment when he had been caught had led to something extraordinary. Not only had he learned about alien culture, but he had also proven that humans could act decisively, empathetically, and wisely under pressure. "Do you think humans can really make a difference in the galaxy?" he asked quietly. Kira's colors shimmered like starlight. "Already they are. But the difference comes not from weapons or technology alone, but from courage, intelligence, and the willingness to understand. Today you demonstrated that humans are capable of bridging divides that others cannot. That is a rare and valuable gift." Adrian felt a deep sense of purpose. He realized that his journey had begun with curiosity, but it had become so much more. A demonstration of human potential, the HFY ideal in action. Humans could excel not by imitating others, but by embracing their strengths: intuition, courage, adaptability, and empathy. Kira extended her hand. "You are now a trusted ally, Adrian. Not just to me, but to the ideals we represent: cooperation, understanding, and peace." Adrian took her hand firmly. "I won't forget it. I'll continue to do my best." As they stood together watching the sun cast golden light across Aura 7, Adrian understood the true value of the experience. He had entered the summit as a young, curious officer, unsure of himself and unaware of the larger stakes. Now he left with knowledge, confidence, and a bond of trust that transcended species. The lessons he had learned would guide him in the future. The crises he had faced had tested his courage, intelligence, and judgment. But more importantly, they had proven that humans could rise to challenges with ingenuity and heart, forming alliances that could shape the galaxy. By the time the station's evening lights reflected across the planet, Adrian knew one thing clearly. The HFY ideal was not just about surviving among advanced civilizations. It was about thriving through courage, understanding, and the willingness to act wisely when it mattered most. Kira's last words echoed in his mind as he prepared to leave the observation deck. "Curiosity brought you here. Courage, empathy, and intelligence carried you through. Remember this, Adrian. Humanity shines brightest not in isolation, but when it embraces its potential and works with others toward a greater good." Adrian nodded, looking out at the stars beyond Zenith Station. The galaxy was vast, full of unknowns, challenges, and opportunities. He felt ready. Humans had proven their value, not through sheer power, but through their heart, mind, and spirit. And he was determined to ensure that humanity's light would continue to shine wherever the stars might take them. As the station's hum settled into quiet, Adrian allowed himself a rare smile. The summit had ended, the crises had been resolved, and alliances had been strengthened. Most importantly, he had learned something that no manual or briefing could teach: human potential, when combined with courage, understanding, and action, was limitless. And for the first time, Adrian truly felt what it meant to be a human in the vast expanse of space. A species capable of rising, not just to survive, but to excel, inspire, and make a difference among the stars. The journey had begun with a single moment of curiosity, a minor misstep that could have been disastrous. Yet it had transformed into a story of trust, cooperation, and achievement. The galaxy had witnessed the best of humanity, and Adrian knew this was only the beginning.